Greetings, community, and welcome to Entropy and Comics. And my pre-order arrived. Welcome to another edition of my unboxing, and I appreciate everyone being here. Man, do I have books. My list is just out of control. Seriously, it's just, oh my God. And it's not getting any smaller, my list. And what I mean by that is this whole Summer of Symbiotes, Venom War, Blood Hunt. Oh my God. That's just Marvel. I have like some crazy 100 books or something like that. And oh my God, I'm just saying. But hey, before we get into it, I want to acknowledge those that decided to cruise on in on the rewind. We got Las Cruces. We got Christina dancing with me. And we got Perry. Dude, appreciate you being here. Saw you over on the other side, over on the 1-2 Comic Talk. Appreciate you being over here on this side on Entropy and Comics. And yeah, you know what, Perry? For you, I highly recommend that Mermaid story, man. I think, especially if you bought the whole series, if you're not already reading it, dude, you really would dig that. Not only is the art awesome, but I mean, minimalistic on the dialogue, and every time they actually even use a word, it's all heartstring stuff. You're like, I'm not crying. Meanwhile, I appreciate you being here, brother. Oh, you're doing well. Again, if people don't know, or if enough people haven't said already, happy birthday, man. Appreciate you, brother. I know you only turned like 26 now. You seem like you're going backwards. It's really cool. I don't know how you do it, but I wish I could too. Oh, thank you, Christina. Throwing out the links. Oh, well, don't we all? You know, it's all about fresh tuna. It's tuna safe mermaid is just awesome. Just saying. All right, hey, I could be doing this all day long, but we're going to go ahead and get into some books. I want to go ahead and talk about a few books on the indie side first. And we're going to talk about the unboxing I got Kanto. Now, 5 years ago, roughly 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 5 years. I don't even know how to say that. But 5 years ago, minus a week, God, I ended up meeting David Bohr. And that's when Kanto came out. Ever since, I not only fell in love with the story, but David and I, well, every time I see him, I give him a big hug and just tell him how much I not only appreciate him, but the story that he writes. He puts his heart into a story that has nothing but heart. And this is ramping up to be one of the greatest Wizard of Oz style stories that I've ever read, in the sense of how it's modeled, how it's the size of the world, how grandiose everything is. It's amazing on this 5-year journey that we're getting close to wrapping it up, but it's just so enjoyable of a journey to be able to go through this, not only with the little Kanto as a character, but David as a writer. And it's just been really cool. Speaking of really cool, Usagi Yojimbo, issue number 3 of 5 of The Crow. Stan Sakai is celebrating 4 years of this magnificent character. And many people really don't know that originally Stan, he drew the character as a human and then just kind of added ears and then started adding animals. And the next thing you know, after a couple of comments, people are like, we like that. And that was kind of the birth of Usagi in the modern form. It's so cool. And without that slow evolutionary de-evolution into an animal, we received, in my opinion, a character that is not only going to be historically remembered as one of the greatest comic book contributions of all time, but we get a character that is also is a standalone. It's something that really doesn't fall in many tropes or many categories. You know, it's kind of its own thing, which is really unique and cool. All right, Usagi Yojimbo and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures. Now, if you're not familiar, they've done these type of things before, and this is actually how their introduction was. They were trying to force a collab between the two, knowing that, well, if people were kind of liking the turtle stuff, maybe they'll like the rabbit thing, and especially if they're together. It was a brilliant idea then, and to me, it's a brilliant idea now, and every time they do it, I pick them all up. So, hey, fun. Grand Mission number 17 is about a story of the Grim Reaper daughter. She ends up taking over the helm of her father, and She doesn't know how initially she died. She doesn't know why she's in this grim reaper state. She doesn't know anything. And then after many people are trying to do her a lot of harm, she ends up finding her place. And what's really finding out is that everyone is warring over this underworld. One, she wanted nothing to do with it. Now that she finds out who she is, she wants to rip everyone apart. And that's kind of where we're getting at issue number 17. Blue Book, issue number 4, 1947. Now, this is the second volume of Project Blue Book. And the idea of the original Project Blue Book was just the government compiling a bunch of information and witnesses seeing UFOs. Now, really, the majority of what these people were really seeing at the time was, if you see what ended up happening after the end of the World War II and us getting a bunch of the scientists, there was a lot of experiments being done in the Aero Works, especially out here in California over at Skunk Works. That was where the building of the whole B-1 and everything is. So you end up seeing, even way back then, which they already had back then, a bunch of wing planes. But what most people never saw was a jet. So when they saw things going 2-3 times faster than anything the propeller has ever managed, of course, it looked a little extraterrestrial. That's not to say that people haven't seen other things otherwise. Local Man, issue number 10. Tony's killing me. Mr. Fleeks is just writing so many different books, and they're so good that I'm just buying everything. And Local Man is by no exception anything less than some of his greatest contribution. We're seeing a down on his luck loser of a superhero still trying to do the right thing, even though no one wants him to do so. And he ends up finding out that the people that he thought were his heroes are really the scum. And that's where we're at. Military Comics. I'm buying some of these coded things only for the fact and sake that these things were initially not allowed to be reprinted and all that. And now that they're reprinting some of these things, it's considerably easier for me to make purchase of this than it is the original golden stuff, because that's just out of reach for me. But I've been digging it. I can't wait to get into the story. Geiger started off in this whole ghost universe, this unnamed universe, and Geiger is just awesome of a character. And if you really break it down, Geiger is actually the hub of all this unnamed universe stuff, and it started with him. So when we end up seeing what transpired in the beginning of this volume and how it affected his family, we now understand how the first volume was originally written with the original idea of what transpired in this second volume and how it affects him in the first one. And then all we were waiting to see is how are all these universes tied together, even though they're linked directly to this. So that's like, again, Junkyard Joe and every other character has come out of that. Rook, Redcoat, everything that we've seen so far is all connected in some way, same shape and form. And here we are right here, Rook Exodus. We're seeing that without the help of the technology and the helmets and the animals that are still left on this planet, these people would be screwed. And that's where we're getting right now, is we're on basically an Exodus jettison planet that was originally terraformed to be Utopia. Something went wrong and everything's going awry. Basically, everyone is Exodus, and those that are left on the planet are just trying to find the means either to get off of it or live out their year as best as they can. Creature from the Black Lagoon lives, issue number 2. What I really enjoy about this story is it's more of a story of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, as it is a story of an individual that is obsessed about the Creature of the Black Lagoon. I'm curious on how that actually affects the overall story. And really, what do we get of the creature, which I remember of the movies, it was always a misunderstood thing. And what we end up seeing is we end up learning more about ourselves than we do about the creature. And that's what I'm looking forward to in this story in particular. A little introspection. World Tree, issue number 33. Not really. No, World Tree 33. I'm sorry. World Tree, issue number 10. My brain's going away. What we end up finding in issue number 9 is 9, 10, and 11 are directly linked without actually kind of reading them in conjunction, and being that they are in gaps, especially when we got the gaps from 6 to all the way 8. We're seeing that how this is overall affecting a couple of individuals, and we're actually at a turning point. We're really at a point to where Everything's about to go down. And even the investigators are now even spared death that they could have easily have been, killed, but for more enlightenment and understanding. And it just seems like there's recruiting going on more than there is just elimination. It's odd where this is getting to, and I'm scared as hell because I know that things like this are kind of real. And I'm not saying what's directly transpiring in this whole story of World Tree, but it does have like a Black Mirror feel. And there are technologies that allow certain things like this to happen. So this whole under internet thing, this that's scary. Not the black web, something deeper and darker. Space Ghost, issue number 2. Dennis Papos is doing a great job of the story. First, in issue number 1, he introduces his character. Issue number 2, we're getting a solid origin story. And then issue number 3 is how he affects the overall known universe and how he's protecting it. And that's what we're getting is the original 3 issues, is establishing his place in this comic universe that's being made by David. And I'm really enjoying it because it's given a whole new definement of this character, which in my opinion was kind of hokey initially. It was, I don't know. As a Space Ghost fan, I was only liking it as a cartoon segue to other cartoons. I never knew it as a character prior to that being anything significant. Now this is a significant character, in my opinion. Good job, David. Plastic. Now, this is actually a Plastic issue number 2, or volume number 2, per se, because what we're getting is Plastic, Death, and Dolls. Doug Wagner originally wrote Plastic as a volume way back when, I want to say around 5 years ago, and I missed that. I didn't get to actually read it. I need to get the trade on that, but this is a slight take on that, and I don't know how it expands or takes off from there. I will read it as a standalone, but I need to get the original. What I like about Doug Wagner's story is every time he does these sick psychopath stories is he ends them in a way of which that you usually don't expect. And there's some type of usual moral message there, some type of introspection that allows you to look at them and be grossed out, but allows you to look at yourself and go, wait, who am I? So that's what I really like about Doug's writing, is it allows you to ask certain questions of yourself. Even if you're enjoying the story, sometimes he poses that question, well, why are you so involved? Why are you as a reader so interested? What does that really tell about you? So it's cool. I dig Doug's stuff, and I can't wait to get into that issue number 1. Sinners for Sons, issue number 5. I already read it. I don't know what I was thinking. I ended up going to the store and picking it up. I guess through my excitement and my hardcore anticipation for the story, I wanted to know. And we end up seeing, kids of characters that if you're already into are just great little spitting images of them. So I really enjoyed this ride. I'm not necessarily saying I recommend it, other than if you really want to spend, I don't know, 10 to 12 bucks on the trade it's not going to change your life. You're probably going to walk away going, really? But at the same point, if you didn't expect anything out of it, it was enjoyable. I had no expectations and I liked it. So Cobra Commander issue number 5. This is the end of the whole first arc of the Energon universe. This is phase 1, in my opinion, ending. So once I get to read this, which I'm dying to, we're going to end up seeing that phase go away and essentially phase 2 launch. In my opinion, phase 2 is kind of the start of Transformers issue number 9. And along with Destro issue number 1 and so forth, this is where we're seeing whole phase 2 take off. I'm looking forward to wrapping up phase 1, in my opinion. Cobra Commander was actually, along with the original Void Rivals, 2 of my favorite series. Not to say that Transformers was any less. It's just saying that Transformers is an ongoing. So to see that, yes, Void Rivals is an ongoing, but it started it. And we didn't know what that really meant as far as how it affected the whole universe. Does that make sense? So what I'm getting at is Cobra Commander as a mini was probably my favorite minis of the first phase. Yeah, that sounds better. All right, moving on from that. Oh, no, backwards. Going backwards. Yes. There we go. Here we are. Void Rivals. Issue number 9. This is what I was saying. This is a big pinnacle book. I can't wait to get into this because, like I said, this sets up a major aspect. This and Transformers issue number 9. This is where we get a lot of answers of why they're on the planet Earth and how it actually affects every other aspect of where they've been out so far. So between these two, these are the major starters of that. Again, Transformers being the real one of the next phase. So I'm curious to get in that like you wouldn't believe. I'm so behind, and everyone keeps talking about this stuff that all they're doing is piquing my interest to the point that I'm just chomping on the bit. Actually, my tongue is literally kind of bleeding right now, just talking so much about it. Destro issue number 1, the sketch variant. I'm a huge sketch variant fan, and I do come across artists. So whenever I can afford and then meet certain individuals that I think best reflect what I'm trying to get on that sketch, I try to get. It's pretty far and few between, especially when you say I got about a solid box and a half of sketch variants, just short box and a half. It's just sketches. Yeesh. I didn't think about that. Uncanny Valley issue number 3. We're halfway through the series with this one. Originally, it was pitched as a 12-issue maxi, but it might end up as a 6-issue mini. It's a story of a kid that ends up finding out that he's the chosen one because he's a hybrid. He's half cartoon, which he never knew, and he's half human. So when he starts being taught how to be cartoon, he's learning how to manifest things that he never knew he could. Whistling allows him to walk on thin air. Just silly things like that. Reaching in his pocket or virtually pull out anything you can imagine. So it's been a really interesting journey to see a kid. It's very Roger Rabbit, but when you find out Roger Rabbit was a human and now he actually has cartoon powers, that is more of a better description of Uncanny Valley. Pharaoh issue number 3. This is an ongoing series that is so amazing. If you are a fan of The Walking Dead, if you're a fan of the Aristocrats, if you're a fan of what was done in Stray Dogs, I cannot recommend this book anymore. You're going to end up finding out after the first arc that a lot of people are going to end up looking for this series because they didn't realize it's an ongoing series. And they're going to end up finding out that so many people are going to be talking about it after that first arc ends and the trades come out and stuff and how good it's starting on the next arc that I think the first 3 issues are going to be kind of difficult to find. Speaking of which, Pharaoh issue number 1, 3rd print. Yeah, I'm getting 3rd prints. And I'm looking forward, as always, to do my little signature slot thing and having Tony, sign a few. And if I can, I am looking forward to try to get a book or 2 slapped. I need to get some of this stuff. I really like a lot of these covers, so I just want to keep them forever. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 15, ends this story. This is one of the most beautifully told post-apocalyptic love stories I've ever read. No, it is the most beautifully told story in a post-apocalyptic world I've ever read. Jason Aaron is a genius when it comes to writing love stories. And when it comes to writing a story that really pulls you in, and you start to have some form of love and compassion for individuals that you'll never meet. They're just fictional cartoon characters. You start to identify with a lot of things that they fictionally are doing because they're based on factual things. The self-sacrificial things that we do for one another without even thinking about it is truly represented in this story, Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. And it's amazing to allow yourself to be immersed in a world that is so tragic and devastating and seeing people trying their best and giving their lives for something that's essentially dead. And it's not what the world represents as a physical form, but in the form that they know it in their heart. And that's how it's written. And it's just amazing. So that's why I am really, truly looking forward to getting into that book. I know it was my Blue Light special when that book came out, and I'm dying to get into it. I am also looking forward to speaking to Jason about it. Looking forward to having him signing my books and really getting into the inspiration behind such a devastating and enjoyable love story. Right, issue number 6. Sorry, I got long-winded on that. It took me a while to remember where the hell I was at on issue number 5. There was such a long gap between issue number 4. I didn't even know that it was actually going on. I thought the ending was a little odd, But yeah, here we are, issue number 6. And it took, like I said, after I got about from the 3rd page of the end of issue number 5, that I realized, oh, that's what's going on. So yeah. Speaking of Jason Aaron, Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime. I highly recommend that you read the inside cover when you receive this book. You'll end up seeing an amazing story written by Jason. Basically, it's just a tell-all of his introduction to this character and why it was a true passion project for him to do this. The relationship that he has with his son seems very solid and very solidified, and the upbringing of his son, as far as what he decided to introduce and allow them to bond over. And it seemed like to me, from the way the introduction of the first page was, this story, Scrooge was a major bonding thing between these two. So after reading it and reading it from that angle, truly did affect the way I read the story. And yeah, I think I enjoyed it that much more for that very reason. So I highly recommend the story. And if you do, please read that first introduction page. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Black, White, and Green. If you're into anthology stories, well, there's no better than if you're already into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to get that book. It is well written, and it's very fun to see people allowed to go ahead and take off and give their own interpretations of little minis that they would do with these characters. And that's precisely what Black, White, and Green is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the untold destiny of the Foot Clan, if I recall. Issue number 4. Yeah, here we go. After issue number 3, and they ready to fight all-out war of who's going to be able to take over the clans. I am so dying to get into issue number 4. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book. Now, I refused to read the original 2 that came out. I glanced over issue number 1 enough to realize that it was very forensic in its delivery, and it's so manual, really, like, style reading it. It's just that I decided I'm just going to get all these source books and just read them in one fell swoop, so I can wrap my head around, like, understanding what the delivery is from day one all the way to where we're at right now, of where we're at, as opposed to trying to take it in chunks and going, wait, what? Because of how this book is written in comparison to most other things that I read, I just want to read it in its entirety as you would in a trade form. I think it'll just come across better. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha. Now, this is our first introduction of Jason's Aaron contribution to the Turtles. And in my opinion, he knocked it out of the park. I am looking forward to the actual ongoing series, and also knowing that we get 2 things in the introduction of the ongoing series. For the first 4 and maybe 5 issues, maybe more if we get into April and Casey and so forth, what we're going to see is individually written for individual characters of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Meaning, the first issue that will come out will be about Raphael. The second issue, if I recall, I think is about Michelangelo. And these issues will slowly introduce you to the individual characters that will build the world. But what's so important about this is it's written by Jason, but you'll get different art by different artists in each one of these books. And I'm hoping that what we end up receiving, if they can manage it, will be costly, is if they can maintain that throughout the continuity of the actual ongoing series. So what we would be getting is maybe as many as 5 or 6, 7 different artists contributing to the actual ongoing series when they're actually only taking a part of their delegated character. So whoever's supposed to do the art for Raphael would continue to do it, and the art for Michelangelo would continue to do it, and so forth. That would be awesome. Can you imagine that type of contribution? That's like cell work that they used to do back in cartoons back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. I want to see that. I don't want to pay for it, though. Spawn Universe. Misery. Issue number 1. All right, here's the sketch variant, and here's the cover A. And what this is a story of Spawn's wife. We're seeing how she's dealing with the fact that he's Spawn. We're seeing what she's dealing with in her own world. And yeah, it's actually rather interesting to me to see McFarlane write a story that kind of swings all the way back to the origin of Spawn in some regards. And to a character that was relatively neglected. It was always just used as a, I don't know, leverage or a wedge against Spawn, but now we're seeing her as an individual character being, I want to see. To me, that character was always kind of an enigma. Who is she? What is she doing? All that. They didn't explain much. It kind of almost got more on her daughter. Just saying. All right, here we go. Me droning on. Ultimates, issue number 1. We had an Ultimates just last year, but I think really what this is reestablishing the universe that's being written right now. And if I remember, yeah, Cap's doing this, but Hickman was the one that kind of started off with the whole Spider-Man stuff. And we're seeing how all this ties together. I think this is setting all that up because of, Panther and you know what I mean. My brain's going away. I've been doing a lot of this. So, Iron Man, right? This is issue number 1. Oh, no, okay. It's the Ultimates. This is the Virgin variant, issue number 1. Yeah, there we go. Brain went away. I forgot that that's what this was. Oh, yeah, this is so cool. You know what? I need to put that in a Mylar. All right, here we go. Spider-Gwen. I did not get to read the original issue. I know there's issue 3 is coming out in a couple weeks. So I am looking forward to jumping in this thing. I ended up buying those Wemper stores. I didn't want to remove it out of the poly. So here's a sketch. And here's the book that I'm going to be reading. I did pick up issue number 2, but I didn't want to read it before I got issue number 1. I have no idea what's going on, but it looks fun. I'm always picking up these things. And I'm a huge Spider-Gwen fan, so it was trying not to, but it was inevitable. I'm trying to shed off, and you're going to see massive amount of books. I mean, like I said, my list is over 100 now. So Ultimate X-Men issue number 4. I am not normally an X-Men fan. You'll never hear me talking about X-Men. Ever. I mean, yeah, I don't do teams because how difficult. You see how many books I'm already doing because they take off, have so many tie-ins and so much other. Yeah, it just gets crazy doing teams. And to try to keep all that together in this brain, as many titles I'm already reading, impossible. But that being stated, the difference in this is that Peach is writing these individuals individually. I mean, we're getting a breakdown of just individuals. We're not seeing huge teams. We're not seeing a massive amount of introduction of all these different characters. So it's palatable for me to go ahead and get into this universe. And I know what she's going to end up doing. Now that I end up learning all these characters, 100 issues deep, I'm going to end up looking back and going, what do you mean I got a short box and a half full of X-Men? I just see it happening. All right, here we go. Facsimiles, the New Mutants. All right, it was 898, right? Yeah, New Mutants 98. I do know. Such a clean copy. Wish I had a real one like that. So we're going to end up seeing a lot of these facsimiles coming back out again. I think towards the end of the summer and the beginning of fall in a 3D form. So those are like the 3D stuff, and you didn't get the original. Don't worry about it. All right, here we go. The Secret War stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with the Secret War stuff. I didn't read the original series, so I'm just going to get all 12 and just read them in one fell swoop. Like everyone else, the big thing was getting issue number 8, right? So I never really received anything more than that issue. So I'm finally going to read this thing. Amazing Spider-Man, issue 257, facsimile. I have the majority of the series, but I was just trying to fill a couple gaps. Being that these were brand new and all pretty. I'm like, well, why am I going to go looking for the original when I can just go ahead and get the facsimile ready, accessible, and just fill in the gaps that way? If I come across the originals, I'll get them. I'm not saying, just saying, just saying. But hey, look, and now I can't help myself. I'm getting them all. I had the majority of them already. Spider-Woman issue number 8. Now with the introduction of a whole new crew, was it 5 or 6 new individuals? We saw those characters in issue number 7. Now we're seeing who they are and how they are. I think by issue number 9, we're going to actually flesh out what the true objective is. I'm curious. They seem too cool. Something doesn't smell right. All right, Night Thrasher issue number 4. He got his ass kicked in issue number 1 and 2. Number 3, he ended up kicking some ass. Number 4, we're going to end up seeing how he ends up reinventing himself, because he thought he was a bigger and badder ass than he really was. And after he got spanked and had to reinvent his idea of how he's going to go ahead and become a vigilante in today's world, he knew that he needed a little bit of help and address his ego and his attitude. That's where we're getting issue number 4. I'm digging it. Jay Holtham is doing such a wonderful job on this that I'm just in awe on because I never knew what he was able to do. I only got tidbits of stuff that is contributions to other stories, and they're always such small stories that I never knew what he really can do. And after talking to him and running into him in so many other shops, the guy's so cool. He's just, yeah, I look forward to actually finishing the series out and see what else he's doing down the road, because I do know he's working on something. All right, Helverine. This is cover D. This is considered the spoiler variant. Reveals the character's true identity. And if you're reading Helverine, or if you know anything about this character, you know that this is one badass character. Percy's doing a wonderful job. I'm really loving the art. And I knew back in the day when this character came out that it wouldn't go in any way anytime soon. I just wasn't certain how significant it was to the original story that I was reading in the Ghost Rider series. Now that I see what this character is, and that I was kind of missing out on the train when it came by, I ended up buying a second print of that whole Wolverine, was that 34 or whatever? If you remember, put it in the chat. And that's what I'm right now kind of, after reading that, playing catch up on. I'm looking forward to getting an issue number 1. I'm a huge Ghost Rider fan, and I'm a, Wolverine fan. So yeah, it just makes sense. Dude, Russ, appreciate you being me, Wad, as always. Christina, again, Pear, if you guys are still here, thank you much. Love you much. And I gonna keep going because, wow, is this a list? I'm just saying. All right, here we go. Ghost Rider, Scotty Young variant, issue number 4. Yeah, I've been reading all the Ghost Rider stuff anyways, and being that we're getting this final vengeance, I'm going backwards because it's issue number 3. It was supposed to be right here. I am behind on this. As you see, I'm only up to issue number 2. So I'm looking forward to getting an issue number 3 and 4. And when we end up seeing Hood, I did and have the whole Hood series. I was so excited for this story. And then I end up seeing that really what this story is just building up to the end of the summer, where we get the reintroduction of Vengeance coming back, and we see all these Ghost Riders teaming up to deal with that. So, I mean, if you're a Ghost Rider fan, there's probably no better time, and you're probably just as excited as I that all these stories are coming out, and they're so much fun because they're tying in all the greatest things, all the characters. How good is that? All right, here we go. Immortal Thor, issue number 11. This is in a way and a form that I truly enjoy, and I miss it. The past 2 volumes of Thor were okay, don't get me wrong, and the stories are all right, but it was written in a way and in tone and fashion and modeled after, I guess, the writer and his styling than it was traditionally how Thor is written. So I'm liking what Groenbeck's doing with it. Not just who's writing it. Oh, Ewing. I am loving what Ewing is doing this. Maybe that's why. And I do have a lot of the Ewing original Thor. And that's why, to me, I guess it's more familiar to me. And it's something that I understand as far as a Thor character to me. It's like anything else. We kind of gravitate to what we're familiar to. And that is a character that I'm enjoying. It's moving on. He's dealing with some hardcore tests. He's passing them so far, but they turn out to be more of tests to have him understanding his true role. So that's, again, more introspection. That's what I've been getting out of that story, and it's been pretty cool because, yeah, Thor's getting his ass kicked a lot of times, and it's mostly just to get to his mental. All right, here we go. Edge of Spider-Verse, issue number 4. Already read it, already love it. What I really think was kind of cool is not only the character is cool, Spider-Woman, but the fact that she has her already up there on top of the roof at all times and ready to go is just funny as hell to me. That was actually a question that was asked of her. How the hell did you get a bike up here? Superior Spider-Man, issue number 7. All I can say on this particular story is, Doc, what the F? Seriously? Why are you messing with a 9-year-old kid? This is uncool, Doc. Uncool. Not liking what you're doing, but I can't wait to read what the hell's going on. I saw you take over Bailey in the last issue 6. I was not happy. Ms. Marvel, Mutant Menace, issue number 4. This is going to be a 5-issue mini. Iman and Sabir is doing a wonderful job on this thing. I really like how they work together. But after talking to Saber, he was telling me that he believes that she's ready to start writing her own stuff on her own. So if that's true, I'm curious on 2 things. 1, what she would decide to do. If not, just stick with this one character. And 2, how would she approach another character if she decided to take one? You know what I mean? Would it be in the same writing? Because, yeah, her writing really fits this character, mostly because of her attachment to it. So I would really be interested to see how she would go ahead and if she had to alter her writing style for a character. Carnage, issue number 8. Now, this is a Groenbeck story, and she's amazing. I would love to actually really like to meet this writer. Because if you start looking back at the history of what this writer does and how from where this writer started to where the writer's at, far contrast. And I really believe that the horror best suits this writing. So when we get into Carnage in this volume, it is the sickest version, gnarliest version, godliest version of Carnage ever to be. So it's just something that I guess I can't get enough of, and how it's affecting the whole Venom universe is sending ripples. We're seeing that when we're going to get to this Venom war, this probably is going to start it. It's Carnage is actually starting to become a lot of inner turmoil between Carnage and Cassidy. And you're really starting to see how that's affecting the works of the two and how they decide they want to do things together. Because believe it or not, Cassidy's not a psycho. He's starting to become a little more methodical. And whereas Carnage still isn't. It's interesting. He is, because he got to this godly point. But the reasoning behind it is totally different than what Cletus would. Again, I'm really enjoying the reading, but mostly for a sick psychological reason, not just because of my love for symbiotes. All right, here we go. I know I'm droning on. I went backwards. Here we go. Jackpot issue number 3. Here is the variant. We get the black suit variant, and here is the regular cover of cover 3. What I am enjoying about this story is Mary Jane is no longer just a victim in this whole Marvel universe. She's always been considered strong, but she never had a superhero personification because she never had the power to do so. Now that she's been given these powers of these, random jackpotty things, we're seeing a character that is able to essentially stand on her own 2 feet. Yes, there's an individual in the chair helping her out, but they're not doing the work. They're just assisting in the job. She is now, in my opinion, a standalone character that can almost deal with any other Class B character that's out there. Yeah, as far as, villain, definitely. So I'm really enjoying what she's doing. And as far as how Felicia's treating her and manipulating her in the story, Felicia, you owe her a major explanation. You owe her an apology. And I only hope that your guys' relationship can withstand this shit going on. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about Venom 34. Here we get to see a vampire we've never seen before. A symbiotic sucking vampire type thing. What the F? The dark hold that's going on in this realm, the blood hunt stuff that's going on is bleeding over everywhere. And that's one of the areas that we're seeing it. And now that we're talking about that, we're going to get pretty heavy into the blood hunt stuff really, really soon in the sense of me talking about it here. And we're halfway through it as far as the storyline. And issue number 4 is where we're seeing some big things transpire. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Right now, let's go ahead and talk about Venom Verse Reborn, issue number 1. This is going to set off a whole new Venomverse thing that we've never seen before. We're going to see a lot more new characters. We're going to see a lot of new, more powers, and how they influence the Venom War that's going to be coming up really soon, come towards the end of the summer. I am looking forward like no other on the Venom stories to read this, because I know what that sets up in the coming months, not just what's happening right now. Dude, I appreciate you being here, brother. Hope all is well. All right, here we go. What If Venom? This ends it on the What If series. We see that, in my opinion, the whole symbiote was really trying to get to market in this whole time period. It was its ultimate goal in this series. Seemed like it was just trying to get to Moon Knight. And I love how all these stories 1 through 4 have interlinked. So I'm curious, as this ends, how this finalizes all those other stories of how the journey has been going on with this Venom symbiote, and after it finally gets to Mark, what it ends up deciding to do, and how this all leads to it. It's just one big culmination of something. I don't know what it was or is. Venom Separation Anxiety, issue number 2. Appreciate David coming back and writing more of these Marvel stories. And what we're getting is nothing less than what he was able to contribute in the past. So for me, I'm living my 90s all over again. But shit, 30 years later. So it's cool to see something like this go ahead and happen, because what they are is they're more gap fillers and more just filler stories than they are anything that's going to change your life. But anything symbiote or related, I'm such a slut, I can't help it. So I'm going to pick it up. And that's why Separation Anxiety, issue number 2, I can't wait to get into. All right, Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, issue number 3. Miguel is going to be forever changed, in my opinion. His genetics cannot come back from this. Just much like the fact that he is part vampire, he's going to be part something else, and we're going to see what ends up happening after issue number 5. But I've been enjoying this journey so far. I didn't realize that really what this was is a takeoff from the Venom 2099 series. I was back in issue number 33, around 94, 95. So I've been trying to find that series and how that last arc leads into this one. So, at some point I may try to chase that down. Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 3. This is a great story between two great Spider-Men. Whenever you get Miles and Peter together, you're going to get a fun story. Now, this may change your life. Seriously, what you end up getting is a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of story that you're used to by Spider-Man. You get a whole lot of villains that you're going to dig. And really what it is you're getting the best of these characters when they get together. The way it's written by Wiseman in this story is you're getting, I guess, an interaction between these characters that you don't normally get with any other character. And I guess that's what I'm appreciating, is how Wiseman is doing all this tongue-in-cheek stuff and all this banter stuff between even the two Spider-Men and the villains. And it's just been so fun. Wait, I think I'm going backwards here. I did a show with Kai, so I know I'm off. So let me get this thing in the proper order. I am almost there. And here I be. All right, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 50, cover A. Now here we get the start of the whole Spider-Archy thing that's going to end up going into the Spider-Goblin. So here we end up with one of the black suit covers of issue number 50. And then this is my favorite cover of issue 50, which is a Virgin variant. I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? All right, and then after that 50, we get into 51. Now here we are starting it off with the whole Spider-Goblin thing. All right, sucked down a little bit of gas. He's changing forever. Well, not forever, but he's changing into something he doesn't want to be. And here is the first cover appearance of that Spider-Goblin. So as you can see, I'm a little behind 3 issues. And I'm looking forward to getting into it because of what is supposed to happen. I mean, we're getting Goblin back. Even though Peter Parker is suffering as a Spider-Goblin, Norman is the character that we've come to know and love as the Green Goblin. And that's what we end up seeing. And I mean, how that all led up and these years of him putting on this fake thing, Peter knew it all along. And what we really have seen, and I was talking about Wells about this, because right, that's who's writing this, right? Yeah. 3 years ago. I go, hey man, so how you doing? He's like, doing good, you know. And I'm like, so what do you got going on? He's like, yeah, I got like this 2.5-year plan. I'm like, wait, what? If they keep me on at Marvel, I have like this 5-year type plan so the first 2.5 years would be this, and then I got another piece that'll happen that goes on for like a year, and then another piece that goes on for like another year and a half. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, dude, this is how it's going to structure out. So this whole putting on this fake thing to drag us into this place of the spider goblin thing / goblin, that was all one major plan in this 2.5 years. What we're going to see now is a whole new goblin, a whole new thing in the next, I think, year from what he was talking. I have to re-talk to him. I have yet to see Jeb in a couple of months. So when I next see, hopefully he'll revamp me on all this and say, remember you were talking to me about this? And I let it go because you said you couldn't talk to me anymore. Well, we're past phase 1. What's phase 2? So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to getting through these 3 books. And yeah, to see how it sets up for this whole new phase. So it's so awesome. All right, here we go. Blood Hunters, issue number 2. Blood Hunters, issue number 1. But really what that was giving us is the team getting back together. And to me, they're the major investigation team. Outside of actually, drilling out a bunch of vampires, they're the ones that want to find out who the fuck is behind all this. And they're not buying into it that it's Blade. So it's really interesting to see that they're not only, just taking all these vampires out, but they're actually taking names and they want to know who's behind this. Between the Blood Hunters and what we're going to see in here, which would be after I talk about Doctor Strange, which has been an ongoing series that I've been enjoying. Quick point I want to make about the Doctor Strange series in the past 3 years is that we're seeing Doctor Strange in a ghost form, in a specter form, more in the past 3 years than we have seen in a solidified human form. He's doing most of his work in a dead space. so funny when you think about it that way. Midnight Suns. All right, that's what I was saying. The original Midnight Suns, involved Blade, but now what we're seeing is the Midnight Suns revamped. See what I did there? After Blade, to go ahead and get him to find out what the hell is going on. Wolverine is not buying into it. He doesn't believe it. So he's one of the individuals, Midnight Suns. And as I was saying, the Blood Hunters, they're the 2 major, in my opinion, investigating teams that are looking into what the hell is going on and how this happened. They're the ones going to end up solving this problem. As I said, Wolverine, Blood Hunt. You might notice that I'm getting all these, all these sketch covers. You can look at it as a sketch cover. You can look at it as a connecting cover, however you want to look at it. But I'm getting them all. I can't help myself. I like these. They're blood red. And out of all of them, this X-Men Jubilee, I didn't even get the regular cover A. I was like, I'm just getting the sketch. Screw it. And I normally don't get the X-Men stuff, but Jubilee I had to get. All right, Dracula issue number 2. What we're seeing is after Dracula ends up finding Bree, and then basically it's going to be a Bree and Dracula show. I know it. They're going to end up hooking up, in my opinion, with Midnight Suns and the Blood Hunters, and that's the team that's probably going to end up taking out all this stuff and try to set everything straight. So Bree is the key. Miles Morales issue number 21. Poor Miles. After he got bit, yeah, he's having a hard time. Let's just put it that way. This whole blood hunt thing is not doing well for Miles. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. Here's another team right here, but all they've been doing so far on issue number 1 is they're more preoccupied about saving a bunch of people. So it looks like to me that that's what we're going to get mostly from them, is them saving a lot of people and allowing the other teams to do their job. We're probably not going to get a whole lot out of that many, other than the fact that we're just going to see a lot of people getting saved and a lot of people doing a lot of things they initially wouldn't normally do. Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 6. I did that backwards because I know I have an issue number 5 right here. Issue 5 and issue 6. This introduced us to the whole Ultimate Universe and the way that it was addressing the individual characters. This was the first one to come out, and it took everyone by storm. There's another one that's actually, yeah. So Hickman and Chicheko is doing a great job on this thing. It, like I said, hit everyone a little sideways in their expectations. I don't think most people was going to find out that it was going to be as good as it was. It was a character that everyone's familiar with, but it's told in a way with familiar characters that is totally unfamiliar to everyone. We're seeing the same characters but come about in different ways, different origins, and it's just been wonderful to see because it's kind of like saying that you're re-experiencing something for the first time. And that has been a true delight. And I think that's why everyone's really buying these series is the delight in which that the familiarity is so different. If that makes sense. All right, Strange Academy issue number 2. That is a variant. And here is a cover A. Anytime I can get me a Strange Academy book, I am. I love the series. I love the characters, and they're finding their ways in other books. Like I knew they were pinnacle. They're going to be integral into the whole Marvel universe, and you're going to see them assimilated in the stories that would not normally be. You would normally see Avengers coming in here and here, but we're seeing the next generation of characters. So until we see them again in their own book, we're going to see them in little tidbits of here and there in other books to show their significance, hopefully gain the popularity to go ahead and bring them back. We need Strange Academy to come back as a regular ongoing series, right? If you believe me, hit a thumbs up because, man, we need Strange Academy. Black Panther, Bloodhound issue number 1. This is where we see some stuff come down, and oh my God. Black Panther is another one. If without T'Challa, we would be really screwed. She's the only one that's going to allow us to go ahead and really discover what's going on and relay that information to the people that are doing all this other investigation. And when those people link up, that's when the information will get out. And when the other people link up, that's when we're going to get it all out war. Probably going to see it in issue number 4 of the Blood Hunt series. And here we are, Black Panther issue number 2. So yeah, like I said, I'm behind and I'm chomping on the bit to get into these things. I think that's incorrect, right? Oh, no, that's correct. All right, Incredible Hulk, issue number 13. We've never seen Hulk in such a way that he's fighting for someone else in such a degree, and that someone else is a little girl. Her soul's trapped into a little doll, and he's going through hell to try to get her out. He's all but told at this point that he's fighting in vain, and she's essentially already lost, but he refuses to give up. And we're seeing him fight for something that we've never seen him fight for, which is for someone else, which we've seen, but a little girl, which we've never, with no attachments, no prior, just like a little orphan, which is really interesting because we're seeing a side of Hulk we've never seen. We've seen this in Bruce, but what does it mean when Hulk starts feeling this way? Just saying. All right, Spider-Boy. We got the Stormbreakers version of Spider-Boy. Now that I did backwards because that was actually in issue number 8. All right. Let me see if I can put this stuff together. And here we go. I'm going to try. I got it all messy. All right. Spider-Boy issue number 7. Read it, loved it, and its awesomeness. We see all the past characters come from all the way from issue 1 through 6, come up to actually settle issue number 7. The reason why is, well, Spider-Boy got kidnapped by Madam, and we're seeing her and Madam Atrocity's effed, and we're seeing her just what she did to her husband and everything. Anyways, we're seeing all these characters come together to try to save Bailey, and he needs all the saving he can get. Not only does he need it, but his mom does too. This is my favorite cover of this issue 7. It's an homage of My Brain Went Away. I do have that book, but I only get like 3 of those covers. And then we are. This is actually a really cool action cover. I think it's cover C, right? Yeah. So Spider-Boy cover C, issue 7. And then here we are with issue 8. cover A, which is the first introduction of the puzzler. I know nothing of this character as it is, yes, a first introduction, and I have not heard anyone really do a review. I watched Rock and Robbie talk about it, and he said he thought it was okay, but I didn't really hear too much of a breakdown of the actual character, which is cool because I really didn't want the spoiler. And then the Scotty Young version of that Spider Boy, issue number 8. And then, everyone, we did it. That was, holy shnikes. Oh my God. 97, 98. 98 books. No, that wasn't all of them. That was not 98. I lied. That was 95. That was 9. I wasn't even it. No, I was 94 or something like that. Okay, here we go. Blood on issue number 2. Read it, loved it. Didn't realize that I didn't order 2 sets, which I ordered 2 sets of all the blood hunts on the red band. I knew it was going to be something that was really cool, but I forgot to order 2 sets on issue number 2. So I did only get 1 set of this. I did buy one at my shop, so I did get to read that. It's cool. Red band issue number 3. Can't wait to get into that one. And then I know red band issue number 4 came, but I didn't get it on my pre-order. However, I had forgot. This is the cover I ended up buying the other day of Feral issue number, I think it's 3. Yeah, 3. I really love this story. And as I said before, Tony's killing me. Everything he's writing, I'm buying. This is just an amazing story of, as I said before, on issue. Oh, this is issue number 4 of issue number 3 that I showed before that I read. It's a beautiful blend of The Walking Dead and Aristocrats, and you end up really starting to fall in love with some of these characters that I'm really having a hard time with because I love animals, and I know that once I get attached to these characters as animals, it's going to rip me apart more when they get ripped apart. So yeah, I love this series, and again, this is an ongoing series. Feral is an ongoing series, so just saying. All right, The Last Mermaid, issue number 4. This is another story I truly love. I've been following Derek. He lives right around here, and this is like one of his first major publishes. It's an odd book in the sense of its size. There we go. The cool thing is it allows a great, flat, massive palette when it comes to the art. Majority of the story is art, though you do get a lot of story. And there is some dialogue, but only under necessity. There's a lot of action going on, and there's a lot of heartstrings going on, and you really feel and fall in love with this character. And the Axolotl, which is her protector in this thing, is a really cool character of himself. This Last Mermaid story, I truly enjoy, and I'm looking more from this writer down the road, and he's doing the art, and it's just amazing, immersive. The Last Ronin Re-Evolution. This is what we're getting with issue number 2. And if you're reading after issue number 1, you know that what this is a takeoff from the original Last Ronin. And we're getting the next generation and what it's doing in its own world. It's a brilliantly written story. And as Tom Waltz actually said, it was decades in the making, and we have decades of stories to go just in this re-evolution. So I am really looking forward to seeing how many decades these guys think they can be able to write, because I'm willing to not only read it, but they got to get busy. I don't know if I'm going to be around that long. And we did it, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate K-Pop and Carlito and Las Cruces. Miwad, dude, appreciate you and happy birthday once again. Perry, dude, your kind words that you've been saying to and about me of late, dude, it just fills my heart, and I can't thank you enough. You the man. Your awesomeness. Where is he? There he is. Dude, God, appreciate you being here. Russ, dude, I always appreciate your presence, man. I'm glad you came on through. Christina, as always, I love the fact that you coming on in here, dropping all these links, dancing with me. I don't know how you do it, because you must be tired after a long stream like this of dancing. It's been a solid hour. Take a break. Get some water. Seriously. And everyone that decided to cruise on through on the rewind, I appreciate you. I thank you. And that's actually it for me, Entropy. Until next time, you stay well.